So how many times have you heard a phrase that goes something like this? Well, that's just my personality. That is just who I am. That is just who he is. That is just who she is, and nothing can be done to change it. I know I have heard these kinds of statements over and over and over again through my entire life, but the funny thing is that now that I have learned so much more about the world of personal development and expansion, I can tell you that this actually isn't true. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the truth of the matter, which is the fact that yes, you can change your personality and therefore also change your personal reality. So if you want to learn more about that, then be sure to keep watching. What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen. I am a mindset alignment coach and law of attraction teacher, and you have found your way to my YouTube channel where I upload 2 new videos every week all about the art of combining mindset and manifestation together so that you can actually get manifestation results and create your best life ever. And if that sounds good to you, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. So as I said at the top of the video, one of the things that I know I was definitely taught, I mean, not specifically taught, but a message that I picked up growing up was that personality was something that was just fixed in stone and there was nothing you could do about it. For example, when I was a really little kid, I was painfully shy. Like I really hated talking to strangers, but I really held on to that identity of being a shy kid for a very long time, even though I kind of naturally grew out of it. I can now look back at times in my life and think that, by the time I was a teenager, I wasn't nearly as shy as I was when I was a little girl. But I kept acting like the shy girl. I kept showing up for my life as the shy person because I was really, it was really ingrained in me that that's who I was, and that is something that I could not do anything about. So that is something that I really have had to overcome, being an online entrepreneur, putting yourself out there online, showing up, speaking, making videos, making podcasts, all that kind of stuff. I think that if I told my little kid self that, I would have been like horrified. I mean, of course that stuff didn't even exist when I was a kid, but the point is that that was one idea that I had about myself that turned out to not be as true as I thought it was. Of course, there are times in my life now where I'm still shy. Of course, there are times when I turn into the wallflower, but there are also plenty of times that I'm not like that. There are plenty of times where I feel like I can hold my own in a crowd, entertain people, tell jokes, blah, 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 all that kind of thing. And it took me a long time to realize that I even had that thing inside of me. This is just my own personal story. I'm sure you can think of a personal story like this in your own life. But the reason I want to talk about this is because this is an important part of our identity, and our identity is something that our subconscious brain has held on to since we were a little kid. But this idea of your personality being set in stone can really be damaging. For example, if you, like me, thought you were really shy, or you thought you were bad at art, or you thought you were bad at math, these are all things I can think of about myself, by the way, you might go through the rest of your life thinking this story about yourself, right? So I can also talk about the math example. Like when I was a kid, math wasn't really my thing, but actually, truth be told, I didn't try that hard at it. And I kind of got this impression from, I don't know, school, my parents, from something that I just wasn't good at math, and so I just shouldn't, really bother trying. Lo and behold, I get to high school and I get to the geometry section of math, and I find out that I pretty much got an A in that department. So that can really go back and disprove this idea that I had about myself that math was not my strong suit, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm good at all parts of math. That doesn't mean that it all comes naturally to me. Some of it comes really natural to me, though. That is the thing. And if I kept on believing in this thing that I would never get it, then maybe I would never have gotten it. So the reason I'm bringing this up today is because I really want you guys, as conscious creators, as adults moving through life and trying to bring in amazing changes for yourself, I want you guys to think about your personality right now. And I want you to think about what you have told people and what you've believed about yourself for your whole entire life. And I want you to think about whether or not those stories are true. So the really cool thing is that we can change our temperament. We can change any part of our personality with enough work, okay? And I know this goes against everything that I was taught or everything that was like, you know, modeled to me as a kid, but it's actually true. For example, if you are shy and you're freaking out about public speaking, you may have this belief in you that I can't do it. I will never be able to do that. I'm gonna freak out or cry or run away or something if I have to do that. But I guarantee you that that is all just a story. Like, you might try it and those things might happen, but that doesn't actually mean you can't do that. And if you kept making yourself go to do this thing and to practice this thing and to practice public speaking, eventually, over time, you would get good at it. Eventually, over time, it would become something that you were comfortable with. And we can apply that same thing to everything else in our life. So one of the things about personality is that a lot of people use their personality as an excuse for their own bad behavior. So I'm sure that you can probably think of an instance where maybe you did this or somebody in your life did this, and they're like, oh, well, I'm just negative and that's just the way I am. Or, oh, this is just who I am and you should just deal with it, that kind of thing. And those kinds of stories are actually, I mean, completely untrue, because we always have the power to change anything. We are never at the mercy of our brain. Our brain is ours and we get to control it. So that's one thing. But those people that believe that story and that are buying into that narrative, really, they are choosing victim mode. They are choosing this world to live in where they cannot do anything about anything. And that's a really horrible place to be. So I'm not making this video because I want you guys to go out there and to start to take your friends and shake them by the shoulders and tell them to do better. Like, that's not the way that we're going to improve the world. But the way that we can improve the world is by understanding how this works and how to apply it to ourselves. So again, I ask you to think about your personality and to think about what stories you've been upholding your whole entire life, and to think about what life could be like if you started to challenge those stories. So here's the part where we switch over from the mindset into the quantum manifestation field. So my favorite, as I've mentioned on here several times, Dr. Joe Dispenza, one of his catchphrases is, your personality creates your personal reality. So what that really means is that the traits that you hold on to and this idea of who you are as a human is not without consequence. It's not like you can just think of yourself as a shy person and it doesn't really matter. So we all tend to think that what happens in our brain doesn't have any real life results in our life, and that could not be further from the truth. So all of these stories about who you are and your identity as who you are as a human, what you're capable of, that is so important to the actual results that you live. So this is why it is so important to get excited. This is why it is so important to look at your story and to figure out whether or not this is supporting you. So like I always say in these videos, doing what you always have done will get you what you've always gotten, which means if you want to change your results, it is really time for you to start changing the thoughts and the beliefs and the ideas and the stories behind the scenes. So you can go out into the world and try one new thing, but then your brain's gonna tell you, oh, well, that didn't work, so there's no point, this is just who I am. But that isn't true. So you need to start to challenge yourself to come out of the shell of this identity story that you have for yourself. And you probably need to do this consistently and to try to show up for yourself several times in this new way before it'll start to stick. So your brain is just an information gathering device, and right now it has a lot of information and a lot of proof of why you are the way you are. But I just want to challenge you guys right now to look back at your history and to think about one idea that you have about yourself, and now to think of one instance where that wasn't true. One instance where you completely contradicted your story. Okay? And if you challenge yourself long enough, I'm sure that you can think of a time where this was true. Maybe you think of yourself as being really poor with money and not good with money, but there was one time that you invested in something that did really well. So how do you keep explaining this identity construct of you being bad with money if you actually have proof of the other side? So we have to remind our brain of these things, and we have to let ourselves prove the new story in a new way. And that takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. But don't you want to see what's on the other side? Don't you want to know who you could be in this world without these limiting beliefs about who you are? So to sum up, Your personality is not set in stone. You get to decide on who you are and what you want to be in this world. If there's something that you aren't good at right now, you get to learn it, you get to change it, you get to shift it. We do lots of things. We go to school, we learn how to drive, we learn how to, type, we learn how to do all these things in life. But for some reason, when it comes to our personality, we think we can't, and that is completely untrue. And it might be time for you to shift your story. It might be time for you to decide on who you want to be. It might be time for you to shift out of victim mentality and to actually step out into the world the way you were always meant to be. And I can guarantee you that if you start to do that, the world that you see will change. There will be more possibility in front of you, and you will probably feel so much more confident and happier and more successful in all areas of your life. A very big promise, but really go out there and try it. So that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I do appreciate you spending time in your week here with me. If you want to learn more about this stuff, I'm so excited that my Mindset Alignment School is now open. You can come on over and check it out. I'll leave a link in the description box below. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to learn more, come on over to the site. I have an amazing library of freebies I can set you up with if you sign up for updates, so please go ahead and do that. If you want to watch some more, then click my latest upload right here, and if you want to subscribe, then hit the button right here. I'll be back in the next one. I'll see you over there, and as always, just remember, get ready for the miracle. See you guys.